Oh boy, here we go. People are going to see the Fog remake and they're just going to dislike this video immediately. Well, hold on tight because we're about to talk about the Fog remake.
Hello and welcome to the Cavern of Terror.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Cavern of Terror. And today we're talking about probably one of the most hated horror remakes of all time. And no, I'm not talking about you, Rob Zombie's Halloween. We're actually talking about the Fog remake. Okay, so it's been a long time since I've done like a dedicated movie review on this channel. I used to do movie reviews on this channel all the time. I've covered quite a few series. I think one of the last ones I did was Final Destination 3. I think that really was one of my last dedicated movie reviews. You can go to my Cavern of Terror movie reviews playlist and see if that was the last one. It was either that one or Halloween Resurrection. I can't quite be sure about that. As you know, if you've been around this YouTube channel for a while, I do a lot of topic videos. I just try to talk about topics with you guys. And this isn't going to be any exception to that. I'm going to try to make this like a review type discussion video about the Fog remake. I know, guys, this movie is hated, very, very hated by the horror community. And I figured that I needed to make a video on it because I figured a movie that is hated by so many people is worth merit to talk about. I think we need to talk about the Fog remake because so many people out there fucking hate this movie. Before we talk about the Fog remake, though, we have to talk about the John Carpenter 1980 original. I'll be honest with you guys, I've only seen the Fog original by John Carpenter one time. I bought it for my Scream Factory collection, and I can tell you that I enjoyed this movie. I think it does hold its place in horror, 80s horror. It came out in 1980. I think that Tom Atkins is good in it. I think that Adrienne Barbeau is good in it. I think that what's her name? Nancy Keys is good in the movie. I think that Laurie Strode, obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis, I think she is amazing in this movie as well. I think it's a very atmospheric John Carpenter film. I love the score of this movie, and I love the way it looks. I like the practical effects they used for the Fog. I think this is a classic horror movie. That being said, you don't have to turn your brain on to watch The Fog. It's very light on story, and it bases itself on atmosphere. There's a lot of atmosphere in The Fog. If it's not there, then there's not much to The Fog. You know what I mean? Like I said, you don't have to turn your brain on to watch The Fog. It's essentially about ghost pirates getting their revenge. And that's about it. Contrary to what people will tell you, The Fog is not a perfect movie. There are some slow parts in it. John Carpenter is in a very, very cheesy scene where he just says a couple lines to the priest. And there's also some scenes where some mechanical things start going off by themselves, and it's very slow. It can be very slow for a person that likes a quicker paced film. And I think those scenes could have been cut a little short just to bring some character development to these characters here. Because really, no one in this movie actually knows each other. They're kind of in the same town, but it doesn't feel like there's a relationship with most of the people in this movie. And I think The Fog could have been remade, and it was remade, obviously. And obviously, a lot of you think that it could have been remade better. But I'm not going to take The Fog out of my collection because I have some problems with it. It's still a great movie. I really, really like it, and it's going to stay in my Scream Factory collection. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, how I feel about the original John Carpenter's The Fog. Okay, now that that is out of the way, now that I talked about how I feel about the original The Fog, how do I feel about the remake? Do I hate this movie? No. Do I love this movie? No, I don't love this movie either. It's kind of riding the line in the middle. And if you hate this movie, you probably really, really like the original. Is this movie one of the worst movies I've ever seen? No, it's actually not. I'm telling you guys right now, if you think this is one of the worst movies that you've ever seen, you've never seen I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. That movie's fucking horrible. And if you want to see a review on it, check it out. I actually reviewed all 3 of the I Know films. Yeah, the third one makes this movie look like the original Fog. Trust me, that's a terrible movie. This is actually a pretty well made film, in my opinion. So, does The Fog 2005 have the same atmosphere of the 1980 film? No, it doesn't, but it does not have to, because this is a remake. It's off to set its own course. You get that? Course, movie about ships and pirates. Anyway, does it have the star power of the original Fog? You know, like a Tom Atkins, like a Jamie Lee Curtis, like an Adrienne Barbeau? No, it doesn't. And like I said, it doesn't have to. I like Maggie Grace. I really like Selma Blair. And Tom Welling, this was 2005. He was on Smallville. It's very smart by the studio to put someone that's on television every single week on a very, very popular show as your main character in your movie. Moving on to the story of the remake, like I said in the original Fog, there are some scenes that are a little bit overdrawn and could have been trimmed a little bit. The Fog remake actually takes character scenes and drags them out a little bit more, plays a little bit more with the characters, gives you some backstory on the villains of the movie. And the original didn't do that, and I ended up really liking that in the Fog. I thought that it was fun to get to know who these characters were, who these ghost pirates were, before the event that turned them into these vengeful spirits. I really liked that in the Fog remake. Like I said, that doesn't happen in the original. By adding this backstory to the ghost pirates and the other characters in the film, you fill the gaps in the story. It makes it feel like it's a much faster paced film. The original Fog had a problem with that. There was a lot of dead space. We can even continue with the story. I like the fact that they changed it up a little bit. They added a certain twist at the end, and if you haven't seen the Fog remake, I won't spoil it for you, but I actually like that they went a different direction. They didn't end it just like they ended the original. They added their own flair to the ending, and I think it actually worked out pretty cool. I liked it. They're not very flashy with the ghosts in this movie. I know in the original, they used practical effects makeup on the ghosts, and they were kept in the shadow, so they looked really creepy. In this one, they actually go a CGI direction, and it is early 2000 CGI, so it doesn't look the greatest, but there are some really cool shots of the ghosts in the Fog that I really enjoyed, and there's a really cool scene where Maggie Grace's character is on Tom Welling's, Nick's computer, and she can hear the ghost walking across her ceiling. And she looks up and she can see these watery footprints just above the ceiling. I thought that was a really cool touch. It added to the atmosphere. Like I said, it doesn't have the atmosphere of the original Fog, but it does have a pretty creepy ghost-like atmosphere. The Fog 2005 does not have John Carpenter's original score, but there are some cool things in here where they do kind of sample the Fog score a little bit, especially at the very beginning. But there is more of a rock type feel with a lot of rock music being played throughout the runtime, and I actually really enjoyed that as well because, you know, I'm a big fucking metalhead, so that was really cool to see. But I did like the score in this as well. It was a more early 2000s horror score, you know, a lot of really loud strings and some that kind of shit in there. And I think it's cool, man. It fits its time. It fits the time where this movie came out. In the end, guys, I'm not going to go burning the Fog remake. I actually kind of like this movie. I know a lot of you hate it. I know a lot of you are like, it's the worst fucking movie I've ever seen, you know? Oh, there's team, I love the Fog. And then there's team, I fucking wish this movie would spontaneously combust. Well, that's not going to happen today. There's room in my collection for both of these films. And what I really want to tell you in this video is I take movies at face value. Not every movie is made for every single person on the face of the planet to like. I know there's people out there that think that this movie's fucking terrible, think it's just horrible and should have never been made. But you know, there's people out there that probably freaking love this movie and came out around the time that they found horror. Be like, I love this movie. I don't know why people hate it. You know what I mean? Or they've never seen the original Fog, so they have no idea what came before it. You have to be out there to help these people, to show them other things. You know what I mean? Not necessarily trying to change their perspective on it, but to show them, hey, there's another version of that movie out there as well. and you might like this one a little bit better. Like I said, I take movies at face value. They're not made for everybody. I mean, I like movies like The Covenant, the male witch movie. A lot of people fucking hate that trash fire, but I love it. So, guys, with that being said, do you like the Fog remake, or do you fucking hate the Fog remake? Let me know down in the comments down below what you think. Well, that's it. My video on the Fog remake. If you want, like, more in-depth video on it, let me know down in the comments down below. I'd love to talk about it again. If you want to hate on the Fog remake, let me know down in the comments down below what you think of this trash fire, if you think it's a trash fire. If you're new to the Cavern of Terror and you like my content, if you like this motherfucking video, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, that we get notified about all my future content. If you want to get yourself a badass Cavern of Terror t-shirt, make sure you hit the link to my Spreadshirt store in the description box down below. Me and the man Woody Bowen came up with some awesome ideas for some badass Cavern of Terror t-shirts. Also, guys, I would appreciate it if you followed me on social media. I post on Instagram almost all the time. You can find the links to those accounts in the description box down below. But most importantly, guys, I'm Zach. I actually like the Fog remake, and I like the original. But most importantly, stay metal, my friends.